The Queen's silent grief. The palace stood high above the clouds, made of silver and glowing stones. Giant banners moved with the wind, showing the royal crest. But inside the tall and shining walls, everything was quiet, too quiet. Queen Elira sat alone on her throne. She wore a long dark robe, her golden crown resting gently on her head. But her face held no pride, no power, only pain. Her eyes, once full of fire, now stared at nothing. There used to be laughter in the halls, the sound of tiny feet running, a young voice asking questions, a girl with bright silver eyes and wings too small to fly. Her daughter, Princess Saley. The war had taken her. During an invasion 3 years ago, the enemy had stormed their city. In the panic and fire, the child had disappeared. No one knew if she had been captured or killed. They searched everywhere. The Queen sent her best warriors to every system, but no sign, no voice, no clue. Some of the royal council told her to stop looking. She is gone, Your Grace. But the Queen never listened. Her heart told her one thing: Saley is still alive. Each night she sat in the little girl's room, toys untouched, the bed still made. She would touch the pillow, hoping it would somehow bring her back. One morning, a soft knock came at the throne room doors. The guards opened them slowly and a human stepped in. He was tall, rough and limping. His armor was scratched and dusty, a soldier clearly tired from battle. But what surprised everyone was not his appearance, it was what he said. "I come with news of the princess," he said. The Queen stood slowly, eyes narrowing. "You dare speak her name?" "I have seen her. I saved her," the soldier said. "She is alive." The throne room fell silent. The Queen's voice dropped to a whisper. "If you lie, I will have you torn apart." "I don't lie," he said. He opened a small pouch and pulled out a tiny item, a charm made of crystal shaped like a star. It glowed faintly. The Queen gasped. She stepped down from her throne with trembling hands and took it. Her eyes filled with tears. "I gave her this the night before the invasion. How did you find this?" she asked. The soldier looked her in the eye. "Because she gave it to me." She sat down, her hands gripping the charm. Her heart raced, but her face remained calm. She looked at the soldier again. "Tell me everything." The man nodded. "I was lost behind enemy lines. They left me for dead. I was crawling through rubble in a destroyed colony when I heard crying. At first I thought it was a local child, but when I found her, I knew she wasn't human. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark. Her hair was silver like the moon's. She was hiding in a cracked storage pod. She had been there for days, maybe longer. She was starving, sick, scared. The Queen couldn't breathe. Her fingers tightened. On the charm, I gave her food, water, wrapped her in my own coat," he said. "She never told me her name, but she said her mother wore a crown of flame." The Queen's hand shook. "That's what she used to call me," she whispered, "when she was little." The soldier continued. "I didn't know who she really was, not at first, but when I saw the crystal star, I knew. I promised her I'd take her home, but the journey back was dangerous. Enemies hunted us. We moved at night, hid during the day. I taught her how to stay quiet and how to survive." "Where is she now?" the Queen asked, her voice barely above a breath. The soldier looked down. "Safe for now. I left her hidden in a safe place. I had to come alone. If they knew where she was, they would take her again." Tears rolled down the Queen's cheeks. She had not cried in years. "You came here alone, through war zones. For her?" "I came for her. But I also came for you," he said. "Because she wants her mother." For a long moment the Queen said nothing. The court around her watched in silence. Then softly, the Queen spoke. "Bring her to me." "I will," he said. "But I need rest and help." "You shall have both," she said. And if you speak true, I owe you more than my life." As the human soldier bowed, the queen clutched the small, star-shaped charm to her chest. For the first time in years, her heart beat, with hope. Somewhere out there, her daughter was waiting, and soon they would be together again. The soldier's name was Rylan. He had once led a full squad, but now he walked alone. His leg was injured. His arm was bandaged with an old cloth. He hadn't slept in 2 days, but he didn't care. All that mattered was the little alien girl asleep in the cave behind him. He had found her buried under wreckage, dirty, shaking, barely breathing. When she opened her eyes, there was no fear, only silence. She hadn't spoken a word since the day he pulled her from the ashes. She didn't trust anyone, but when he gave her food, she didn't run. When he offered his coat, she accepted. When he reached out his hand, she held it. They had walked together through broken lands. Towns were gone. Fires still burned in places. Enemy ships flew low overhead. But Rylan kept her close, carrying her when she was too weak. At night they hid, in ruins or caves. Rylan would stay awake while she slept, keeping watch. He didn't even know her name yet, but he called her Star, because her eyes sparkled, silver, like stars in the dark. One night, after a long day of walking, Rylan collapsed beside a cold stream. His leg had grown worse. The wound was deep and red lines crawled up his skin. He tried to hide the pain, but Star saw everything. She walked to him, her small feet stepping over cracked stones. She knelt down and touched his cheek gently. "Are you okay?" she whispered. Rylan froze. It was the first time she had spoken. His voice cracked. "You can talk." She nodded slowly. He smiled, though his face was pale. "I was starting to wonder. I didn't trust you at first," she said quietly. "But you didn't leave me. You didn't hurt me." Her voice was soft, but strong. "You stayed." Rylan sat up as much as he could. "And I always will." She reached into the small bag he gave her and pulled out a clean bandage. She tried to wrap it around his leg, her hands trembling. "I used to help my nurse dress wounds," she said. Rylan let her do it. He didn't stop her. He just watched her face. So young, yet carrying pain far too heavy for her age. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Sayeli." Rylan's heart skipped a beat. The name. The Queen's daughter. Now he was sure. "You're brave, Sayeli." "No," she said. "I'm scared." He shook his head. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going, even when you are." That night they stayed in the cave longer. Rylan was too weak to walk. Sayeli gathered dry leaves to make a bed. She sat beside him, watching the stars through a crack in the cave's ceiling. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. Rylan blinked. "Because someone had to." "My people said humans were cruel." "Some are," he admitted. "But not all of us." She turned her head to him. "You're not like the ones from the war." He smiled weakly. "I've seen enough of war to hate it." She nodded. Then, she pulled something from under her cloak, a glowing crystal star. "I dropped this when they took me. I thought it was gone. That's what helped me find the Queen," he whispered. "She gave it to me before the battle," Sayeli said. "She said, if I ever got lost, to hold it close, and she'd find me." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she never came. Rylan looked at her gently. She never stopped looking. As she slept that night, curled beside him, Rylan knew what he had to do. He was dying. His body was failing. But he wouldn't stop until Sayeli reached her mother. He had made a promise to a child who had lost everything, and a soldier keeps his promises, even if it's the last thing he does. The sky cracked open with thunder as rain poured over the jagged cliffs. Wind howled like hungry beasts. Rylan tightened the cloak around the small girl in his arms and kept walking. He had no map, no ship, no strength left. But he had Saeli, and he had a promise to keep. The road to the Queen's outpost was far. To reach it, they had to cross a mountain range known as the Storm Teeth, a place where lightning lived and cold cut through bone. People, said even machines, froze here. Rylan didn't care. He couldn't wait anymore. Saeli's time was running out. Her eyes were duller now. She needed warmth, real food, and safety, and if he stopped moving, she would never see her mother again. They climbed over rocks sharp like broken glass. Rylan's boots were torn. His hands bled from grabbing ice-covered stones. Behind him, a strange animal howled. He knew something was following them. Something big. He couldn't run, couldn't fight, but he didn't tell Saeli. He just whispered. "Hold on," she pressed, her face into his chest, silent. The wind screamed louder. At the edge of a broken bridge, Rylan stopped. Below was a dark canyon. The bridge had collapsed, only hanging ropes remained. He looked at the ropes, then at Saeli. "It's not safe," she whispered. He nodded. "No, but it's the only way." He wrapped her tightly to his chest with part of the cloak. "Don't move, don't look down." She didn't argue. She just whispered, "I believe you." Step by step, he moved across the ropes. His injured leg shook with each swing of the wind. Lightning flashed. Thunder cracked. Below, darkness waited to swallow them. Halfway across, one rope snapped. Rylan lost balance, but held on. He clenched. His teeth pushed through the pain and kept going. At last, they reached the other side. He dropped to his knees, panting, heart pounding. But Saeli was safe. That was enough. They found a cave under the rocks and stayed the night. Rylan's breath was shallow, his leg was worse. Fever burned in his blood. Saeli pressed her small hand to his forehead. "You're hot," she whispered. "You noticed I'm good-looking now?" he joked, barely smiling. She didn't laugh. Instead, she pulled her crystal star from her pouch and held it to his chest. "This is for protection," she said. "That's what my mother told me." Rylan closed his eyes. "You should keep it. I want you to have it," she said. "You saved me." He shook his head. "You saved me too, Star." That night, a shadow crept near the cave. The creature that had been following them arrived. It was a four-legged beast, black as night, with glowing blue eyes and claws like blades. It sniffed the air, growled. Rylan heard it in his sleep and woke. Instantly, he reached for his broken blade, but it was gone. He placed himself between Saeli and the entrance. "I won't let you touch her," he said through dry lips. The beast stepped closer. Saeli woke and gasped. But then, something strange happened. The crystal star she had given Rylan began to glow. Soft light filled the cave. The beast stopped. It tilted its head, confused. Then it turned away and vanished into the storm. Rylan collapsed back. Saeli held him tightly. They both shook, but neither spoke. In that moment, they knew something was protecting them, something bigger than luck. Maybe it was the love of a mother, maybe it was fate, but they were still alive, and they were getting closer. The next morning, the storm began to calm. They saw the edge of the mountains. Beyond that, the Queen's border lay waiting, but danger still followed them, and Rylan knew. The hardest part was still ahead. From the edge of the cliffs, a silver drone hovered in silence. Its lens focused on the child clinging to the human soldier's back. It had found her, and it had already sent the signal. In the shadows of a distant moon far from the Queen's reach, a dark figure stood before a screen. He wore black armor, cold as steel, and his eyes glowed red behind his mask. High Commander Varn. He had led the attack that destroyed the Queen's palace 3 years ago. He had ordered the child to be taken, but she had vanished. His failure had cost him honor, power, and the Queen's survival had been a thorn in his pride. Now the child had reappeared, alive, and with a human. Varn's metal hand clenched into A fist. Send the hunters. Kill the human. Bring the girl. Alive. Rylan didn't know they were being tracked. He only felt a strange chill in the air as he walked. Saley was quiet that morning. Her eyes watched the skies. Something's wrong, she whispered. Rylan scanned the clouds. Too quiet. Too still. He picked up speed, but it was already too late. The attack came fast. A ship screamed through the sky and fired near the ground, sending dust and fire into the air. Rylan threw himself over Saley, shielding her from the blast. 3 black-armored soldiers dropped from the ship, alien, tall with blades for arms and faces covered in silver masks. They didn't speak. They didn't wait. They came straight for Rylan. Rylan pulled his broken blade. He had no armor, no gun, just one goal: protect the girl. He fought like a wild animal. The first attacker he dodged and kicked into a rock. The second slashed his shoulder. Blood spilled down his arm. The third grabbed Saley's cloak. She screamed. Rylan roared and tackled the attacker, punching until his fists bled, but they were too many, too fast, too strong. Just when it looked like they would be taken, a beam of blue light shot from the sky. A ship. Not the enemy's. The Queen's royal crest was painted across its wings. A rescue team. 3 armored guards jumped out, firing stun blasts at the enemy. The masked attackers fell back, disappearing into the smoke. Their ship vanished. Rylan dropped to one knee, exhausted, shaking. The lead royal guard stepped forward, helmet shining. "Rylan of Earth?" he asked. "Yes," Rylan gasped. "And this is Princess Saley?" She nodded, holding tight to Rylan's arm. Then we were just in time. Inside the ship, medics rushed to treat Rylan's wounds. One wrapped his arm. Another scanned his leg. Saley sat beside him, refusing to let go of his hand. The guard looked at her with kind eyes. "Your mother waits, Princess. She's never stopped searching for you." Saley looked at Rylan. "Can he come too?" The guard paused. "He is wounded. He is my friend," she said. The guard nodded. "Then he will ride beside you." The ship rose into the sky. Below them, smoke rose from the hills. Varn's hunters had failed, but he would not stop. He watched from his ship's screen, jaw tight. "I will take her," he said coldly, "even if I burn every world between us." Back in the Queen's city, horns began to sound. Soldiers lined the landing bay, and in the palace, Queen Elira stood at the top of the stairs, her heart racing. She had waited years for this moment. Her daughter was coming home. But in her joy, a shadow still crept, for war was not yet over, and neither was the danger. The royal ship soared across the clouds, smooth and fast. Inside, everything was quiet. Rylan lay on a medical bed, pale and breathing slow. His wounds were cleaned, his fever controlled, but he was still weak. Beside him sat Saley, silent, alert, watching every move the medics made. She hadn't let go of his hand since the ship took off. One medic whispered to another, "She hasn't spoken since we left the mountain. She hasn't cried either." Saley wasn't like other children. She had seen death. She had run through fire. She had hidden in holes and survived storms no child should. She didn't talk much, not because she didn't know how, but because she didn't feel safe. Not yet. The Queen's palace drew closer. A message came through the speaker. "We land in 10 minutes. Prepare the princess." The guards looked at her. "Do you want to change your robes, princess?" one asked gently. Saley didn't answer. She turned to Rylan instead. "Will he come with me?" "He is too weak to walk," the medic replied. "Then I won't walk either," she said. "I'll stay with him." The guards hesitated, but they had been given orders. Listen to the child. She was royalty. When the ship landed, a floating bed carried Rylan forward, and Saley stood beside it. Her hand still held his. The palace doors opened wide. Queen Elira stood waiting, her long cloak flowing behind her. Her eyes were locked on one thing, the tiny girl with silver hair and glowing eyes. Sally stopped halfway. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She just whispered, "Is that her?" One guard nodded. "Yes, that is your mother." The girl took one step forward, then another. But she looked back at Rylan. "I don't remember her," she whispered. "You don't have to," he said weakly. "She remembers you." The queen stood frozen. Then Sally finally ran, tiny feet across stone floor, a cloak trailing behind. She stopped in front of her mother. The queen knelt down. They stared at each other, mother and daughter, separated for years. And Sally spoke softly. "I thought you forgot me." Tears filled the queen's eyes. "I never did." She reached out, and Sally didn't pull away. Their hug was quiet, strong, real. For a moment, no one moved. Even the guards lowered their heads. Later, in the queen's private chamber, Rylan rested in a soft bed. His armor had been replaced with royal cloth. Healing bots worked silently around him. Sally sat on the edge of the bed. The queen entered slowly. "May I speak to him?" she asked. Sally nodded. "He doesn't like loud voices," she said. "And he jokes a lot when he's in pain." The queen smiled gently. "I'll remember that." She sat beside the human. "You brought her back," she said. Rylan opened his eyes. "I made a promise," he said softly. The queen looked at him. "No soldier from your world has ever crossed into our lands alone, and none have survived this long." "I didn't come to survive," he replied. "I came to deliver her home." "Why?" She was cold, scared, small, and she reminded me what it means to protect something innocent. The queen was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Did she ever speak to you?" Rylan smiled faintly. "She told me she was afraid." "She told you that?" the queen whispered. He nodded. "And she told me she believed in me." Sally walked over and climbed into the bed beside Rylan. She held the crystal star between her palms. "I want to tell her everything now," she said. And for the first time, the queen listened to the full story, from Sally's own mouth. The hiding, the hunger, the fire, the bridge, the beast, the star that glowed in the dark, the human who never left. The queen cried. But Sally didn't. Not anymore. Her voice was clear. Because she wasn't lost now. She was home, and her voice, small but steady, had returned. Queen Elira stood at the balcony, watching the stars. Her daughter, alive, safe, sleeping in her old bed. The human soldier, still healing, but breathing steady, and yet, her heart was restless, because she knew the enemy would not stop. Far away, in the black silence of space, High Commander Varn stood, inside his warship. His red eyes glowed brighter than ever. His metal claws clicked against the map before him. He had tracked the rescue signal. He now knew the planet, the palace, the city. "Prepare the drop pods," he growled. "Tonight, the stars will burn." His fleet moved like silent sharks through the void, cloaked from royal scanners. Inside the Queen's palace, Rylan tried to rise from his bed. He had rested for 2 days. His wounds were sealed, but his strength hadn't returned fully. Still, he pushed himself up, because something didn't feel right. He looked out the window and saw flickers in the sky, small, glowing dots falling fast. Drop pods. His soldier instinct screamed. "They're coming," he whispered. Alarms blared. Guards ran through the palace. Red lights flashed across the halls. The Queen stormed into the command chamber. "How did they find us?" An officer pointed at the screen. Multiple unidentified crafts entering low orbit. They're dropping troops and we're fast. "Evacuate the princess," the Queen ordered. "No," Sally said firmly, stepping into the room. "I'm not running." Again, the Queen turned, shocked. "I want to stay," Sally said. "But Only if he stays with me. She looked at Rylan. I need you. Rylan limped into the chamber, armor half on, breath tight. You should run, the Queen told him. I've been running all my life, he said. It's time I stand. Outside the palace, the first drop pods crashed into the royal gardens. Black armored soldiers poured out, silent and deadly. The royal guards opened fire, holding the walls. Explosions lit up the night, but more pods fell. They were losing ground. The Queen turned to her most trusted pilot. Take my daughter. Take the human. Fly through the mountain pass. We'll draw fire, she said. I'm not leaving you, Saeli cried. You must, the Queen said softly. A mother's love is strongest when it lets go. She hugged her daughter tight, then whispered, Run home. Run to the stars. The escape ship launched under heavy fire. Rylan held Saeli's hand as they sat side by side. She was shaking. He leaned closer. I've got you, Star. She looked at him. Are we going to die? He smiled gently. Not today. The ship zoomed into the mountains. Enemy ships followed, fast, armed, ruthless. The royal pilot dodged sharp turns, cutting through valleys and ice caves. But they were still gaining. Suddenly a warning blinked. Engine damage. The ship shook. We won't make it, the pilot shouted. Rylan moved to the front. Then we changed the plan. He took the emergency pod and opened it. Put her inside. Saeli's eyes widened. No, you're coming too. There's only one seat, he said. This pod flies fastest. It will reach the outpost. You'll be safe. What about you? He touched her cheek. You're my mission, she cried. He placed the crystal star in her hand. Find your mother again and live. Then he kissed her forehead and pressed the button. The pod launched like a bullet, disappearing into the stars. Rylan turned around. The ship shook again. He picked up a blaster, faced the door, and smiled. They'll have to get through me. The EO stars blurred past the pod window as Saeli sat strapped inside, her small hands gripping the crystal star tightly. She couldn't stop crying. Please don't let him die. Please, she whispered to the wind. The pod rocked violently, dodging lasers and debris. Alarms flashed, but she didn't look away from the sky. She thought of Rylan, his broken body, his smile, the warmth in his voice when he said, You're my mission. He had given up everything to get her home, and now she was flying through the star, alone. The pod finally crashed down on the far side of the planet, near the Queen's backup stronghold. Medical bots arrived quickly, pulling open the pod. They found Saeli inside, shaking, crying, still holding the glowing crystal. When the guards saw her face, they fell to their knees. It's the princess, one whispered. She's alive. The Queen's second-in-command sent a flash message to the palace. The princess has arrived, she is safe. But the Queen didn't smile. Where is the human? She asked. There was silence on the line. Back in the sky, Rylan's ship burned. Enemy forces circled. He had taken down 3 before they breached the door. Now he lay half-conscious, a deep wound in his side. He could hear them moving closer. But then, a sound. Not a weapon, not a scream. A voice. Her voice. Mom, I'm back, the Queen dropped her glass as the doors to the throne room slammed open. Saeli ran in, cloak flying behind her, arms stretched wide. Tears burst from the Queen's eyes. She didn't wait. She ran forward. They met in the middle of the great hall and held each other like they'd never let go. Saeli sobbed into her mother's chest. He stayed behind. He saved me. The Queen held her daughter tighter. Where is he? She asked, voice shaking. He's still in the sky, fighting. Without another word, the Queen turned. Send all ships now. Find him. In the burning sky, Rylan could no longer see. Smoke filled the ship. Pain pulsed through his body. He clutched the wall, trying to stay awake. Just a little longer, he whispered. Just a little. He fell to his knees. Then, a voice echoed through the smoke. Human, stay awake. A blue beam cut through the smoke. Queen's ships had arrived. They pulled him out seconds before the ship exploded. carried him into a medical bay. He was barely alive. Hours later, the Queen entered the healing chamber. Saley walked beside her, holding the crystal star. Rylan lay in bed, tubes attached, body broken but alive. His eyes fluttered open, and the first thing he saw was the Queen and Saley together. He smiled. "Looks like I made it." Saley laughed through her tears. "You promised you would." The Queen knelt beside his bed. "I don't have words strong enough," she said. "You gave me back my daughter." "I only did what anyone should," Rylan said softly. "No," the Queen said. "You did what no one else could." Weeks passed. The war ended. Varn's fleet was destroyed. The people sang of the human who crossed fire and storm for a lost child. A statue was built in the royal garden, but the greatest reward was not gold or honor. It was the moment every evening when Rylan sat by the palace window, and Saley ran to him shouting, "Mom, I'm back, he saved me." And the Queen, now smiling again, would wrap them both in her arms, as a family made not by blood, but by choice.